Welcome to our Everything Christmas craft video. Today we'll be creating beautiful holiday decor using decoupage techniques with festive napkins and tissue paper. We'll also explore how to elevate your designs with Dollar Tree gold foil for that extra sparkle. Hi, my name is Katie from Lady Red Crafting. Let's get started and bring some Christmas cheer to your home. I love browsing the thrift store for dishes to decoupage, and this dish did not disappoint. I found this at St. Vincent's, and after I was done getting this all nice and clean, I am going to grab a holiday napkin. And this fun napkin is from Amazon, so I'll leave a link for it in my description box below. The first thing we're going to do is prep our napkin, and I do this by removing the back two layers of the napkin from the napkin. Now going back to our dish, I'm placing this on a piece of cardboard, and using some painter's tape, I'm going to tape the dish down, upside down to the piece of cardboard. And now that our dish is secured to the cardboard, I'm going to grab the napkin and I'm going to flip it over and placing it face side down on top of the back side of the dish. And I just want to make sure it's positioned in a way that it covers the entire dish. Now using my matte Mod Podge, I'm just going to brush that over the top of the napkin very lightly. And I'm going to continue to apply the Mod Podge until the napkin is adhered to the whole back side of this dish. Now once you're done applying the Mod Podge, this is what it looks like. And what I do here is I'm just going to let this sit for about an hour until it crusts over looking like this. And when you flip the dish over, you're going to notice that it's a little bit dull on the napkin, but that is okay. Now next I'm going to grab my Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and using a paintbrush, I'm just going to paint over the dried area of the Mod Podge. And after I started painting, I realized I didn't do a second coat of Mod Podge, and I know that sometimes I do that. So that's kind of up to you. It's an optional step, but I felt like this piece, I don't think it really needed it. I think that the paint was good after that first coat of Mod Podge. Now once that paint has completely dried, I did grab my zip sander, but you could use a sanding block, and I'm just going to sand off any excess paper from the dish. And I always find sanding in a downward motion works a little bit better. Now, once all of that paper is removed, this is what our dish looks like. So you can see that it really brightened up with that white paint. Now next, I am going to re-tape this dish down, and I am going to do what's called a reverse decoupage, where I am going to take another item to decoupage over the top of that white paint. And for this step, I am using some tissue paper, and I want to say a quick thank you to all of those that voted on my community page on which tissue paper I should use. I really appreciate it. Sometimes I get stuck in these videos and I forget, like, well, what do I want to do? I just don't know. I can't make a decision. So thank you guys for helping me out. So what I'm doing here is I take my Mod Podge and I'm actually going to apply a coat of the matte Mod Podge over the top of the painted area, and I do the whole entire dish. Some people would do this in sections, but I just went for it and did the whole dish. It's not that big of a piece, so I felt like I could do this while it was still wet. And then once I've coated this with Mod Podge completely, I'm going to take that piece of tissue paper, and this tissue paper did come from Walmart, and I am going to take a little piece of cling wrap, and I'm going to put a piece of cling wrap over the top of the tissue paper. And I am this time putting the back side down, so the nicer side of the tissue paper is what's going to show on the outside of this dish. Now using that cling wrap, I'm going to smooth out everything onto the dish. And once I'm satisfied, I'm just going to gently remove that cling wrap, and then I'm going to let this dry for at least an hour or two. Do not touch it, just leave it alone. And now that everything is dry, I grab my dishwasher safe Mod Podge. And we're going to just do a nice coat of Mod Podge over the top of that tissue paper. And once we're done coating this dish with the Mod Podge, we'll go ahead and let this set aside to dry again. And once everything is dry, you can remove it from the cardboard and grab your zip sander to remove any excess paper. And once you have all of that paper removed, if you notice anything lifting, you can go back with the Mod Podge, and I would use the dishwasher safe one and just lightly paintbrush that down. Now, once you're done with all of that, here is what our dish looks like. I just love how this turns out. And this will make a great candy dish or knick-knack dish, or all by itself. Just let it display and show everybody what you made. I just love this dish. Let me know what you guys think of this reverse decoupage. Is this something you would try? If so, leave a Christmas tree emoji down in the comments below. For this craft, we're going to start out with a wood cutout, and this one I got last year from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to tape this down to a paintable surface. So I'm going to take my English Ivy Green from Apple Barrel and do a nice coat of paint over the top of this sign. And once the sign is completely dry, I am going to grab my Mod Podge. And I'm using matte Mod Podge for this, but if you have glossy, that's fine as well. And I'm going to do a little bit of Mod Podge over the top of these letters. Next, I grab these foil flakes from the Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square section, and I'm just going to dump a little bit of them out onto my paintable surface. And I just use my fingers for this, but I know that I've seen some other people use tweezers, and I didn't even try to use tweezers. So that might be another option for you, but I'm just going to take a little bit of these flakes and I'm just going to lay them on top of the areas that I put that Mod Podge. And this is a really messy layer, so don't worry about trying to make anything perfect. I'm just laying them out over the tops. And once I coated the areas that had the Mod Podge on it, I went back in with additional Mod Podge and just added a little bit more foil over the top of those areas. And I just repeated this step until I was satisfied with the look. For the next step is actually going to take any of that extra foil off of the Merry sign. So I started out by using just a chip brush here, and that worked, but it was taking a little bit of time to get everything off, and I am not very patient. So I came in with a dry sponge, and that actually worked a little bit better for me, and it came off a little bit quicker. But I've seen people use both techniques, so I wanted to show you both in my video. Now, once you are satisfied with the Merry sign, I went ahead and put this down on a new piece of cardboard and retaped it down. This will make it a little bit easier for me to take my Mod Podge to seal everything in without getting any extra flakes in it. Now, while I'm sealing all of the foil in with my Mod Podge, I want to tell you all about this fun playlist I'm a part of this month, Everything Christmas. And I am so happy to be co-hosting this playlist with Lisa over at Our Gray House, and our guest host this month is Jody from Southern Seasons. These ladies are so talented and creative, and I hope that you get a chance to check them out. Their links are in my description box below, and the full playlist is also linked in my description box below. So if you love Christmas as much as I do, I think you would enjoy this playlist. So please check them out, let them know I sent you, and give them some love. Thank you. Using my heat tool, I just give a little bit of a head start for it to start drying, and I let that sit aside for a little bit. Now I have this fun ribbon I found at Walmart this year, and it's a sparkly burlappy type ribbon, and I absolutely love it. And it's only $2.98 a roll, so I thought that was a pretty good price. And it is wired. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a quick little bow. So I just fold my ribbon into the shape of a bow, and I'm just going to scrunch it there in the center. And once I'm satisfied with the shape of my bow, I'm going to take a small piece of pipe cleaner and I'm going to take that pipe cleaner and wrap that around the center of my bow. And then I'm just going to twist it in the back. And this is one of those things where you could leave the tails of the pipe cleaner there so that you'd be able to attach it to your sign. And I'm just going to set that down for a moment. And I have a small piece of ribbon that I cut, and I'm just folding it into thirds. And then I'm going to wrap that around the center to cover that pipe cleaner. And then I'm going to hot glue it in the back of the bow. Now, all you need to do is cut any excess ribbon off of the back and then decide if you want to just diagonal cut your bow or do a dovetail. I decided for this one I wanted to do a dovetail, and I did have those pipe cleaners still there attached to the bow, and I wanted to show you that you could use that to wrap around like a wreath or something. But for this project, I'm actually not going to need that, so I'm going to end up cutting those off. Now, this beautiful gold pick I found at Hobby Lobby last Christmas at the end of the season, so I was able to get it for 90% off. And I'm going to take one of these picks and I'm just going to cut a little bit of the strands off of the pick. And I want to have a total of 6 little strands for my sign. And now that we have our embellishments ready to go, I grabbed this blank that I have from the Dollar Tree, and I like the blank just the way it is. When they come in at the Dollar Tree, these things go like hotcakes. So if you see them, pick one up. Now I'm going to take my little picks here, and we have 6 of them, and we're going to do 3 on each side, and I'm just using some floral tape here to wrap them together to make little swags. Now I'm just going to position everything where I would like them onto my piece before I glue anything down. And I wanted to make sure that the Mary portion of the sign was in the right spot before I glued the top pieces down. So I'm going to start with that piece first, and I'm using just some wood glue here and a little bit of hot glue to attach it. And I love that there's lines in this piece because it really makes it easy to make sure you get this centered the way you want it, because you can use those lines to guide you. Now I'm going to grab my floral tape again because I didn't want those swag pieces to get wonky. So I just went ahead and I'm actually going to floral tape these two together and position them the way that I want using that tape first. And I'm not going to worry about that green there because that bow is going to cover it. So it just helps make everything look the way I want it. It's just a little extra step that I did. Now using my hot glue, I'll glue those 2 items into place. And now that our bow is attached, here is what our beautiful Mary sign looks like. I just love how this turns out. The little bit of gold really stands out, but is very neutral with the green and the wood. I think this just is a really fun and elegant piece that would go with a lot of different decor items. And if you're enjoying this content, please consider hitting the subscribe and like button below. It really helps my channel grow. Thank you. For this piece, we're starting out with a 6x8 canvas from the Dollar Tree. We're going to flip this over and deconstruct it. If you haven't done this before, we just remove these staples from the back side of the canvas, and so we can get to that wood frame. And don't ruin the canvas when you're removing it. Just remove it as carefully as you can because we are going to use it in this craft. And now that we have our piece deconstructed, I am going to take the canvas portion of it and we're going to lay that out on our surface here. And using a piece of painter's tape, I'm going to tape this down to our surface. Next, I grab my matte finish Mod Podge and I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole entire canvas with the Mod Podge. I take my heat tool and I give it a little helping hand to help it dry the Mod Podge. Now, once that Mod Podge is completely dry, I'm going to grab my napkin here. And for this, I did take both of the back layers off the napkin, so this is just the top piece of the napkin. Now, once we have that layered where we would like it, I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper and lay that over the top. Now, taking my hot iron here, I'm going to iron on this napkin to our canvas. And now that that napkin is ironed onto our canvas, we will take our Mod Podge again, and I'm going to do a light coat over the top of the napkin to seal everything in. You may have noticed that there's a small tear on the napkin there, but I put the frame over the top of the canvas, and I am able to still use this canvas, no problem. We'll be able to cut that piece off. I grab a pencil, and I'm just going to trace around the frame so we know where we can cut our canvas. And now that we have our canvas cut out, we can set this aside and we can start working on the frame. For this frame, all I'm going to do is place this on a paintable surface. I'll tape this down with some painter's tape, and using my Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle, we'll go ahead and give a nice coat of paint on this frame. And once our frame is dry, we go ahead and we're going to flip that frame over and put down our canvas. And I'm going to re-staple the canvas to the back side of this frame using my staple gun. And I'm using the smallest staples that I could find. I believe they are 1/4 inch. Here is what our frame looks like right now. Next, we're going to make some embellishments for the front. And I found these ornaments at the Dollar Tree, but they are not the right colors because this year my theme is green, and so I want to do something a little bit more neutral for this. So I'm just going to take my heat tool and remove all of the pieces from this little tree. I know Dollar Tree does carry wood trees in their ornament section that do not have any embellishments already on them, but the size of that tree was too big for what I was looking for. So I really like the size of these smaller ornament trees, which is why I'm using them instead. So next I take this ribbon, and I got this ribbon at Walmart, and I am going to use it to make a new fabric cover for the tree. And to do this, I'm just tracing around the tree on the piece of ribbon so that it makes it easier for me to cut this out. And then we're just going to glue this onto our little ornament. I found that Mod Podge works really well for gluing this on, so I'm just going to brush a little bit over the top of my ornament and then lay that piece of fabric right on top. For a finishing touch and to cover that hole on the top of our tree, I'm just going to add a little mini white bow. Now we're going to grab 2 wood letters, a J and a Y, and I'm just taping them down to a paintable surface. And I'm starting out with this cafe latte paint, and I ended up not liking this color, so I ended up taking some of my different brown color paints and mixing them up to come up with a more neutral color brown. And once that is dry, I take my Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and I'm just going to dry brush around the outside of these letters. And now for our final embellishment, I am grabbing this ribbon that I did get at Hobby Lobby, and it really is a fun texture. It has a whole bunch of different browns and off-whites in this, and I'm just going to cut a small strip, fold it together, and then attach it with a little piece of pipe cleaner in the center, and then twist that pipe cleaner around to make sure everything stays in place. Since this pipe cleaner is really small, I'm just going to wrap that around and then make sure that there's no sharp edges. Now I want to cover that pipe cleaner in the center of the bow, so what I'm going to use is this cute little snowflake that I got on Amazon, and I got a pack of like 50 of them, and they're just so much fun to have in my stash to add to different things. And I just hot glued that to the center. Now let's go ahead and put our sign together. We're going to hot glue all of our pieces to this canvas here. here is our adorable joy sign. I just love how this turns out. It has like a rustic yet modern feel to it. I think this would be great to be put on a tiered tray or to hang on a wall or put with some different decor pieces on a shelf. And there you have it, 3 beautiful Christmas pieces. I hope you enjoyed these crafts today as much as I did. And if you're looking for more fun and creative Christmas craft ideas, be sure to check out this next video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, craft more, stress less.